Hello and welcome to episode 81 of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a great week. I had a pretty good week. You might be able to hear that my voice is still a little bit funky. I'm still kind of recovering from mainly the cough that I've had. Thank you for everyone who sent their well wishes for me getting better. I do feel mostly better. Like the cold part is basically done, but like I mentioned last week, I have cold-induced asthma, so that's what's still hanging around. And it doesn't help that our weather, like the temperature outside has kind of taken a dip, so it feels like every time I go outside, the cold air just kind of sets me back again. But it's a process. That's just the way it is. I'm used to it. I feel a lot better in terms of energy this week. I was able to get some knitting done. I didn't get a whole lot of work done, but I decided I was just going to take this week to still push through, and then hopefully next week I can get back to making some items for the shop. So what do I have for you today? I have progress on 2 projects that you've seen previously. I have a finished object, and I have a new cast on that I'm really excited about. I'm so happy that I finally got to start this. So we are going to start with my coffee. So I mentioned last week, thanks to Vanessa from A Historian Knits, I was able to place an order with Bones Coffee, which is my favorite source right now for flavored coffee. Each week I'm going to be picking a new flavor and we are going to try it out. So today I am going to be having some Cinnabon, which I think is kind of like, it's going to be like cinnamon bun rolls, that kind of flavor. So that's what we have. We'll see how it is. And it is as delicious as always. I don't think I've ever had a flavor from them that I've really disliked. There's always going to be ones that I like more, but I just love trying all their unique flavors, and I have some doozies coming up. So so now that we've done that, let's get started. I think I'm going to start with the 2 projects that you've seen, share my progress on them. Those would be the socks that I'm currently working on, and let's start with Dennis's socks. So I was working on other things this week, so I don't have a ton of progress on these socks, but let's see how far I got. So with Dennis's socks, the last time I showed you, I had finished the leg, I had put in my heel, I was working down the foot, and that's pretty much where I am now. I think, so here's the heel, I think I was somewhere maybe around here last week, and I've just put on maybe an inch and a half or so. So this project has been kind of hanging around on my desk, and when I've just been kind of wanting to work on something for a few moments, I've been picking this up, but I haven't really been dedicating like a lot of time to it. So that's basically that, not much on there. I'm hoping for the next episode I will at least have that first sock done. I'd really like to get the whole pair done by the end of the month, but we are soon. That end of the month is soon approaching, so I've got to dedicate some time to those socks if I want to do that. The other sock project that I've been working on is my October Desert Vista Dye Works socks. Now these have taken a bit of a turn. I'm actually have less progress than the last time I showed them to you. Last time I showed them to you, I was in a similar spot to Dennis's socks. I had done the leg, I had put in the heel, I was working down the foot, but a couple of days ago, it's kind of been toying at me, and I just decided that I didn't want to use the German short row heel in these socks because they are gift socks, and again, I don't know the shape of the recipient's foot. I'm making these for Avery's morning bus driver, and I just find that the triangular shaped heel that I've been doing over the course of this year is just a really forgiving heel, and I'm not as worried about it fitting properly as like a short row heel. So I decided to rip back all my progress that I made on the foot, rip out the heel, get back to where I was on the leg, and then start the triangular shaped heel. So that is what I have done. So here's the leg, and then you can see here, so I basically ripped back to here, and you can see where I have started the increases to shape the triangular shaped heel. And then once I finish, you're increasing every other row. Once I reach a certain amount of stitches between these two markers here, I'm going to start decreasing to shape the heel, and then I'm going to be decreasing along these sides to kind of bring it in even more. So because I am doing this entire sock with ribbing, so the whole leg is a 2x1 rib. I've carried that 2x1 rib along the back beside the heel, and then even once I finish the heel, I am going to be continuing the 2x1 rib along the top of the foot. So my hope is with all this ribbing, it will just conform to her foot really, really nicely. So I need to put some more work into this. This is the rest of the yarn. Once I finish this little ball of yarn, that will take me to the point that I ripped out of. However, there's another little reason why that is separated as well and not attached to the ball. Many of you will be familiar with Mr. T, my troublesome cat, and I think about 2 days ago we came downstairs in the morning and Avery is like, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy, look what the cat did, look what the cat did." And I had left my knitting on the table, and I think the sock, was the sock still on the table? The sock was still on the table, but the ball of yarn was not on the table, and there was a trail of yarn going from this room here, the studio, into our living room, around the living room floor, into the kitchen, through the kitchen, into the dining room, and around some of the tables in the dining room. So he left me a nice little trail to follow, and I had to get that back and wrapped up. So my ball of yarn is a little bit tangly. I do have to trim a bit of this off. You could, okay, if you have cats and they've ever eaten, like, chewed on your yarn, you know what that feels like. It's really gross. So I have to trim that off. But then hopefully I will be able to get back to where I can rejoin this to my socks. I don't think I mentioned this last week, but I'm working on the colorway Puff the Magic Dragon. I really like how these colors are knitting up. I know her bus driver really likes kind of purples and pinks and bright colors like that, so I'm hoping that these socks will appeal to her. But that is basically where I am on those socks. I was making really good progress. I was hoping to have that first sock done for this week, and now I'm even further away from that kind of mini goal. But hopefully this weekend, I know I'm going to have some pretty good time to work on them tomorrow. I'm so excited. I am going to be going with one of my friends to the Woodstock Fiber Fest. I don't know if any of you guys are going to be there. Maybe I will see you. This probably won't go up in time so that you'll find out before going, but hopefully, unless something happens and she can't go, I will be there. I am so excited. So I will have a pretty good drive there and back to work on those socks. Hopefully I can get back to where I was, but I'm also just really looking forward to going to a Fiber Fest as a shopper. So the last couple of Fiber Fests that I've been to, all of them that I've been to this year, it's been as a vendor, and I have not really been able to leave my booth. So I haven't done any shopping. Plus, I've mentioned this many times before, because of the kind of stash challenge I did a year or so ago, I'm just really not interested in buying a lot of yarn. I'm really content using my stash. However, there are a few things that I have in mind that I want to look for. I want to look for some little goodies for the advent calendars that I'm putting together, and so I'm just excited to go and actually look for things and not just be like, oh, well, I'm just going to be looking around and not buying anything. I actually have some things on my list, and I am just excited to go to this Fiber Fest. I haven't been in a couple of years, and it's a really nice one. So maybe I'll see some of you there, who knows, but either way, I know it's going to be a really nice day. So the next project that I am going to share with you is my new cast on, and this is another project that works towards one of the goals on my bingo card. One of my goals is to knit a circular shawl. And I think I mentioned this several weeks back when I was talking about some project planning, and how one of the things I really wanted to still complete this year is a bigger version of my Exploration Station by Stephen West. I knit this in fingering weight yarn many years ago. It's one of the very few shawls that I've made that I actually wear. I really love it, but I want a bigger, thicker, snugglier version of it, and so I've decided to knit it again, but with either like a DK worsted type yarn. So this week I decided, you know what, this is a really good time to get this started. And so I went through my stash. I really didn't want to buy yarn for this, so I went through my stash, went through my worsted and DK weights, trying to find 4 colors that would go enough together, that I like the look of together, and that I would have enough quantity in. And that was a little bit of a challenge, but I think I managed to put something together that I'm really, really happy with. So I'm going to show you the yarns that I picked first, and then I'll show you my progress on the project afterwards. So again, keep in mind, these colors together were limited by what I had, and what I had at least 2 skeins each of. So I figured that with DK worsted, I'd need at least 2 skeins. So that is what kind of guided my color choices. But I actually think they look really cool together, and I think the fact that I wasn't able just to go and pick 4 colors that I thought would look nice together, I think I actually have come up with a more interesting color combination than I would have otherwise. So these are the 3 that are still in skeins, and then the other one I have caked up. So the first one is this Barocco vintage in this really pretty teal heather. I have a whole bunch of this. I had bought this for a sweater quantity, but I just don't know. Every time I think about using this for a sweater, it's never the right fit. So I thought this would be a good chance to use some of it. So this is going to be my color A. My color B is this one here. This is some Madeline-Tosh vintage. I think I won this in a prize, some sort of giveaway or contest or something with I don't remember. I think it was a knit along. I think it was a knit along that I was participating in, and this was one of the prizes, and I think I won this. But I have 2 skeins of this as well, and I thought just this nice tonal mid-tone gray would kind of just complement any other colors I put with it, kind of ground them. So this is my color B. My color C, and this is the wild card here. I think I might show you color D next, and then we'll go to the wild card. So color D is another one that I have a lot of. This is some Richard DeVries yarn. You might remember, if you've been watching for a long time, that I knit an atelier sweater or cardigan with this, and I just have a ton left over. So it's not something I want to make another garment in. I already have a garment, but I have enough of it that I can do a bigger project. So I have this. I think this kind of pulls in some of those nice jewel tone colors, but still kind of contrasts and adds. I like all the little pops of color in this one. And then we have color C. This is my wild card. I was pulling out other colors from my stash that went with it, but it just didn't give me those warm and fuzzies where I was just like, ooh, that's an interesting color combination. The thing with the exploration station is it's a very graphic design, and one of the things I really love is that the color A is used to kind of divide all the sections, and then it's also done as the border. So I like to use a darker color for those sections, and it just divides everything, and so everything has a chance to stand out. But then there's all these other sections where you might have these 2 colors playing together, and then you'll have these 2 colors playing together, and then you'll have the other 2 colors playing together. So you want colors that kind of pop from each other, but then will also meld nicely when they're used together. So that was the challenge, and so this is my color C. And I only have 1 skein of this, but I think color C is also the one that uses the least yardage. So I'm hoping this is bright. It's actually, I don't think, quite as bright as it's showing up on camera, but it is a very, very vibrant orange. I only have 1 of this, but I figure worst case scenario, if I run out of this, I can always pull in another color for the end bits, or I might even be able to dye something similar because it is more of a tonal color. But I just thought that this really pulled out the warmth of this one. I love kind of aqua and orange together, so I like the contrast of that. Paired with gray, I think the orange looks really nice. So even though I was kind of limited by what I had in my stash, I think this looks really cool. I think it's a really cool combination. So those are the 4 colors that I'll be using. And then what I've gotten through so far is the beginning of the first section, which is just a whole bunch of wedges, and this is what I have so far. So I've done that first little bit there. You can see what I was talking about. Color A kind of divides all the other sections, and now I'm working through my wedges. So I have done a wedge of each color, and total there are 2 wedges of each color before you go into the next stitch section. So I have another, next will be I think the gray again, and then the orange, and then this color, and then I'll be going on to the next section. But this has just been so enjoyable to work on. It's been really, really quick because it is a thicker weight yarn, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of this kind of just comes together. I think it's a really just kind of neat but unexpected fall color combo. So I'm really, 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 really enjoying that. I don't know if I'm going to work on that later. We know we're working on the socks tomorrow, so maybe I'll try and get another wedge of that done tonight. We will see. I do like this pattern. If you have never tried one of Stephen West's patterns, I would highly recommend the Exploration Station. I think it's one of his more, actually he's got a fair number of approachable patterns. He can go all over the place. I know there are some die-hard Stephen West fans who just love everything he does. I have learned that I can't do his mystery knit-alongs. I have to be a little more selective. I need to see what they look like first, because some of his designs are just a little too out there for me, and then other ones like this one I think are just very, it's a very well done pattern. It's very well balanced. I think it's very wearable for a lot of people. I think colors, if you look through the project gallery, there's just endless color combinations, and also it's just a fun knit because it changes fairly frequently with the stitch patterns. It's a really, really fun knit. So yeah, if you haven't tried any of his patterns, I would have a look at this one as one to possibly try, but I just can't wait to make more progress on that. So yeah, finally we have my finished object, and I was working on this little guy last week, and I had said maybe I would have him done this week to show you, and I did. It was a super, super, super quick and fun project. So this is my little hedgehog. The pattern is Hedgehogs by Pearl Soho, and this is my finished little guy. So I think last week I had shown you, I had finished doing the head, and I was working down the little belly panel, and then what you do is with a thicker weight yarn you knit across your top stitches there, and then you start knitting back and forth, and then on every row you pick up on one of the belly stitches. So you would knit across around and then pick up a stitch here, knit around, pick up a stitch here, and you keep going and going and going until you reach the bottom of the panel, and then you just kind of close them off at the end. So it's a really, really fun little project. I think the result is super, super cute. I think this is just a really, he's just nice and squishy and huggy, and also a pattern would be really easy to modify for other weights of yarn. So if you wanted to do like a really, really big huggable hedgehog, you just need this yarn to be slightly thinner than this yarn. So you'd want like you could do a really nice big bulky yarn with this one for this part, and then just choose a slightly thinner yarn for this part, and you could really do all kinds of things. And then the ears you just kind of pick up. They were very quick to do, and then I just sewed on his little face. So if you remember, oh, and I should mention too, I don't know if you can hear that, but I decided to pick up, I was at my local fabric store a couple of weeks ago, and they had some poly pellets at the front on sale, and the price was quite reasonable. I was willing to pay that price. I was not willing to pay that price. But I thought, oh, you know what, this might be handy. I like to make little stuffies. This might be handy. So I picked this up, and this was before I had planned to do this little hedgehog. And then once I did the hedgehog, I was like, you know what, I think he could benefit from just a little bit of weight. So I sewed a little kind of rectangular pouch. I poured some pellets in there, closed it all up, and then when I was stuffing him, I stuck it into his belly. So he has just a little bit of weight on his belly, and I think it just gives him kind of a nice little feel. So what I was saying is, if you remember, I was making this to go with the porthole cardigan that I showed you last week. So this is just a little baby cardigan that I decided to make with my hand spun and some Barocco vintage. And I had a lot of the hand spun left over, which is why I wanted to make a little toy. So this is all the hand spun held double. And then I still have some left. I have about 100 grams of the hand spun left. And I was going to knit something else, but I've decided I'm just going to wait on that and we will see. Perhaps I will make something else to go along with this set. But I have something to add about this set. So I am happy to be able to share with you guys that this little set that I've been working on is actually not going to have to go very far. If you remember, I mentioned several weeks ago that back in August there was a week that my family and we just had kind of a crazy week. So the Monday of that week we found out that Dennis was getting a new job. Thank you for everyone who congratulated him on that. It's been going really, really well. He's really, really enjoying it. It's been a really good fit for him. The second kind of crazy thing that happened that week is a few days later I found out that I was being asked to do that huge wholesale order that we now know I've talked about. Last week I was doing it for Knit Crate, so that was really exciting. And then just a couple of days later we found out that we are going to be adding to our family. So we are expecting a new baby, which is why I've been working on this little set. We are very excited. I know this might seem kind of out of the blue because Avery is 8 years old. That's a big gap, but we have been trying to add to our family since Avery was 18 months old. So it's been a long journey, but we were very happy to find this out, and we are very excited. My family knows now, some of my friends know now, it's all out there. Yeah, so everybody's really happy. And yeah, I'm excited to be able to share this with you guys too, because I love talking with you. I love sharing little bits with you, and I hope you're excited too. If you're the type of person who likes to send out good juju into the world, good thoughts, I would appreciate any good thoughts. I am almost 15 weeks along. We just had I just had my first trimester screening where they do all those kind of tests, and everything came back fine. So hopefully going forward, it's just going to be smooth sailing. So that has been going on too. It's been kind of a whirlwind of a September and October. But yeah, so I think that is everything that I have to share with you this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you have a lovely weekend filled with lots of crafting. I'm hoping to get a whole bunch done this weekend. But yeah, I will talk to you soon. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.